What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now today we finish up our talks on the Blood Wizard, one of the darker themed wizards that we are going to be looking at in this series, and of course, straight from the mind of Matt Mercer. Now I am excited to be building one today, but before we do that, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, also make sure to share the video with your friends, and of course click the bell so you're notified when new videos are uploaded. We are so close to 5,000 subscribers. We are coming up on that goal, and it is absolutely possible. We are on track, but of course I need your help. Share the video, tell your friends, get them to subscribe. It's going to be amazing. Now, of course, I also want to make sure that you know of the best ways to support this channel. Number one is by becoming a member. You can, of course, do that by clicking the join button down below. And at the very lowest tier, the Bronze Snapper tier, you get access to all of my build guides, all of my subclass fix guides, all of that good stuff for you to use at your table. And we are looking forward to adding more and more of that as time goes on. Of course, the higher tiers give you some more extra perks as you go up there, so make sure to check that out. This is going to be an interesting build. Now, here's the thing. As I studied this subclass and went through everything, the more that I realized there really isn't a whole lot special about this, you know, and honestly, from when we ranked it earlier this week, it didn't do very well. And I stand by what I ranked it earlier this week. It's kind of boring, and there's really not a whole lot that's special about it. So this build may feel a little cookie cutter. We're going to try to take advantage of the features that we have as much as we possibly can, but just know this might be a little more on the bland side, and maybe you'd be more interested in taking something else. Either way, I want to still give this its moment in the sun. So here we are right after today's sponsor. If you are looking for a great gift this upcoming Christmas season, then the Wandering Tavern by Homie and the Dude is the perfect one for the TTRPG lover. This system-agnostic setting features 15 floors and 23 unique locations for you to explore on a massive airship. Interact with the various factions to learn all of the mysteries held within this vessel. Learn recipes for unique benefits and even compete in a bake-off. If you like the work of Studio Ghibli, then this is absolutely the one for you. Learn more with the link below and use code DAPPER10 to receive 10% off at checkout. And of course, by doing so, you will be supporting my channel. Thank you again to Homie and the Dude for supporting the channel, and let's get back to the video. As always, here are the rules for this series, so make sure to check those out in case something is different from how your table runs it. You may have to make a couple of adjustments. Starting off, we have our race, and I actually got a comment this past week saying, I really hope that you don't pick the variant human or custom lineage or something like that. It'd be okay if you did, but I'd prefer you don't, and I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that's the direction we've gone again. Again, like I said, this kind of is a pretty cookie cutter. You gotta do kind of one thing with this build, and there's not a whole lot exciting to it. So yeah, we are going with variant human this week because we have to take a feat at level 1. We absolutely have to. It's the tough feat. The tough feat has to be something we have on this build because we are actively getting rid of health and we are actively wanting to get hit in order to use our features. Both of those require HP, and that is something that as a wizard we are in short supply of. So definitely makes it really difficult to go with pretty much any other option. However, I will be going over some honorable mentions at the end. For our stats, of course, modified standard array like what you saw earlier. Our top stat is going to go into intelligence, second highest is going into constitution, no surprises there, dexterity for the third one, and wisdom for the fourth, and besides that, strength and charisma can be whatever you want. We really don't care about those at all. We get 2+1s by being a variant human, and so we're just going to throw that into intelligence and constitution, just to get those to an even number. For our equipment, we're going to grab some medium armor, whatever is the best that you can get, probably scale mail for now. Then we also are going to want an arcane focus, and if you want to have a shield, then you can get one. It's definitely not required. Definitely could be something to optionally have, but definitely something to at least consider, because we will actually have proficiency with those as we take our first level, not in Wizard, but in Artificer. Artificer is a really solid starting class here because it gives us the Constitution saving throw proficiencies. It gives us an additional way of getting access to certain spells. It's just a really, really nice way to start, and that is what we're going with here. It also gives us medium armor proficiency, shield proficiency, all of that good stuff, which is really nice to help us be a little bit more tanky, and that's definitely something we can't complain about. We get magical tinkering, which is fine, and we also get spellcasting here at level 1. For cantrips, of course, Firebolt is going to be a really reliable damage dealing option, and you also have things like Mage Hand on the support side for other cantrips. For first level spells, Fairy Fire, Cure Wounds, and Disguise Self make a lot of sense. Cure Wounds is really cool being able to grab that here because we wouldn't have that as a wizard, but this can help to keep us healthy when we're going to be self-dealing damage to ourselves or even taking a big hit. It allows us to replenish that HP back, which is pretty cool. At level 2, we of course are going to go with Wizard, and we're going to be Wizard for the rest of the time. We're not going to be doing any other multi-classing, we just need the one level. For first level Wizard, we are getting Spellcasting and Arcane Recovery, of course. Arcane Recovery, of course, helping us to get some spell slots back in a pinch, which is really cool. And for Spellcasting, of course, we've got tons of options on cantrips. Prestidigitation is one that I absolutely would take. There are plenty of other options that you can take if you want. For first level spells, Shield and Silvery Barbs are going to be my go-tos here, and then for damage dealing options, I've got things like Burning Hands and Magic Missile. Now, normally I'm not a huge Magic Missile fan, and the reason is because while it is reliable, the damage is not that great. However, when you are getting extra damage per hit a little bit later, dealing a d6 of extra damage per hit, then we start looking at some interesting damage numbers, and so that's why I'm taking this. Also, any kind of spell that rolls a large number of dice, that is also going to be nice because we will have a feature later that allows us to re-roll dice on a spell whenever we want to possibly get a higher number. So both of those are really good options that will combo well with what we get later. At Wizard 2, we get Blood Channeling and Sanguine Burst, of course, as we become the Blood Wizard, and this is really cool. Blood Channeling is a little bit more of a ribbon feature, allowing you to use yourself as a spellcasting focus and that kind of thing. And then we have Sanguine Burst, which is also pretty cool. Now, I've seen Sanguine Burst work a lot better if you just take the 2 levels in Wizard and then take a bunch of levels elsewhere, just because there's no specification that this feature has to be Wizard spells. So that's something to definitely think about if you wanted to do that. Again, if you have not watched my video from earlier this week where I go through all of these features, that is the one to go and watch because I go into a lot more detail there, so don't want to waste your time here doing that. At Wizard 3, we get Cantrip Formulas, which is fine if you messed up before and need to get something else or just need something for a very specific situation. It's there. And then we also get second level spells. Shatter, of course, is going to be the Baby Fireball. Hold Person, Scorching Ray, again for the multiple hits, and Misty Step are going to be really cool options. Wizard 4 gives us our first ASI or feat, and Warcaster makes a lot of sense. We're not going to be carrying a weapon, so opportunity attacks aren't really a thing, so we definitely want to be using our spells for that. And we also want the extra boost to maintaining concentration. At Wizard 5, we get no features, but we do get third level spells, and of course Fireball is my top pick. Fireball is one that I really haven't suggested all that much up to this point, but you can't leave this one behind. When you get a feature that allows you to roll a ton of dice again if they don't work out for you, you take Fireball, and it's just too obvious to not take that. Counterspell, of course, is another one to have in the back pocket. At Wizard 6, we get Bond of Mutual Suffering. This, of course, allows us to basically take damage and reflect it back, which is pretty cool. Definitely suboptimal on a wizard, but with the tough feat, hopefully that will help us out quite a bit to be just a little bit more tanky and take those hits a little better. In Wizard 7, we get no features, but we do get 4th level spells, and things like Polymorph are there. Stone Skin is interesting because it can help us to get a resistance, which is nice, but I don't like that it takes concentration, so it's kind of meh for me. And Wall of Fire makes a lot of sense here as well for battlefield control. At Wizard 8, we get an ASI or feat, and I'm going to just bump my intelligence, and we're just going to keep bumping that till it gets maxed out. At least for me it's maxed out, but for you it may not be. If not, then we'll keep going with that a little bit later. At Wizard 9, we get no features, but we do get 5th level spells and Animate Objects. Now, I have not suggested Animate Objects up to this point either as well. Now, this is an amazing spell, whether or not I've suggested it or not. This is a really good spell, but again, this is getting hit with a ton of things at once, right? And adding an extra d6 of damage to every time you get hit makes Animate Objects absolutely ridiculously strong, and so we absolutely absolutely have to take that. Synaptic Static is nice because of the ability to re-roll things. At Wizard 10, we get Glyph of Hemorrhaging, which is cool, and of course, this is how we can curse the creatures and deal a bunch of extra damage, so that is now online, and Animate Objects is ready to go. At Wizard 11, we get no features, but we do get 6th level spells. Sunbeam is about the only one that I'm excited about as far as being able to re-roll things and that kind of thing, but even then, I probably still would rather Fireball, but that's just me. And then besides that, pick your favorites. Wizard 12, we get another ASI or feat. Since I'm done with Intelligence, I'm going to just switch over to Constitution. If you're not, then definitely keep going with that. So +2 Constitution makes a lot of sense. Wizard 13, no features, but we do get 7th level spells. Now, this is a funny option because you could, because the downside is really not that bad, if you wanted to try to cast a Simulacrum without having the ruby that is required, you can attempt it. Now you're going to take 30 d10 necrotic damage in your attempt to do this, but you could try, and this is definitely an interesting way of trying to do this. But of course, you don't lose the spell slot if you drop to 0. You don't lose out on any of that, so you could just spam this until you get a really low roll. It's something you could try, right? You'd have to roll incredibly low, but it's something. So definitely something that could come up if you wanted to give that a shot, but definitely not my top pick. My top pick here is probably Prismatic Spray. That makes the most sense with what we have, but that's just me. At Wizard 14, we get Thicker Than Water. This, of course, is going to give us resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, slashing when we're concentrating. Again, we're going to be concentrating on several things. Polymorph if we want a Wall of Fire, things like that. There are plenty of options. Hold Person. There are plenty of options here that we could be concentrating on, and so this will definitely come up a lot. Again, I wish that this also applied to magical, but it is what it is. At Wizard 15, we get no features, but we get 8th level spells. This is kind of a pick your favorites kind of thing. There aren't any that really scream out to me that are super in line with what we need with this subclass, so just pick your favorite there. And then Wizard 16, we get another ASI or feat. I'm going to bump Constitution again because I still need a little bit more there. Wizard 17, no features, but we do get 9th level spells, and Mass Polymorph's probably my favorite one just for concentration spells. That's at least for me, I think that's fantastic. Then Wizard 18, we get Spell Mastery, and surprising, probably nobody. Shield and Misty Step are probably going to be the 2 spells that I choose here. If you don't know what these general wizard features do, I'll put a link up in the icon above for my generic wizard guide, and that's got a lot of information there for you as well. And then finally, level 20, Wizard 19, we're going to take another ASI here, and I'm going to bump Dexterity. Again, if you are lacking in either Intelligence or in Constitution, that's what you should do first. So what do you think of today's build? It's interesting, right? I think that there are some nice things here and there. I definitely don't think it's as flashy or as amazing as a lot of the other options, but it's definitely not the worst thing I've read. And so there's some fun to be had here for sure. For some honorable mentions, other racial options I would go with. My number 1 is actually an Earth Genasi. This makes a lot of sense for the ability to cast the Blade Ward on ourselves as a bonus action. That's really cool because that gives us that more defensive feature from the beginning, and I think that could be very, very helpful for us. Gnome is also a great option, again, for that blanket resistance on the mental side, your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma side. I think that's really, really helpful as well. Gnomes just make great wizards, and I think that this is no exception. For other feat options, Metamagic Adept is pretty cool because we could actually quicken a couple of those lower level spells, and I think that that would make a lot of sense here. And Fate Touched as well makes a lot of sense as well. There's plenty of really good stuff that we could pick up using that, plus having that half feat to bump up our intelligence is going to be really, really helpful. And then finally, for other class options, Fighter, of course, is going to be the obvious one, just to give us all kinds of abilities here, to give us all of the armor proficiencies, to give us any kind of weapons if we wanted to do something like that. But again, con saves, that kind of thing. We could have had Action Surge, which is cool. Those are interesting. And then there's also the Barbarian Wizard option. The Barbarian is an interesting one. Again, you could rage while you are going to be taking some of these hits, which could be cool because it doesn't specify that you have to be like casting a spell or concentrating on a spell in order to reflect that damage back and that kind of thing. So you could rage in order to give yourself some nice longevity while you're not doing your spell casting, and that could be an interesting backup option. So that is all for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. We are keeping on next week, and I am looking forward to doing that. I believe it's Conjuration. I'll have to check. I believe it's Conjuration next week, and we will have a lot of fun with that. There's some cool stuff in that kit, and I'm looking forward to it. So until next time, stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.